my distinguished panel. We've got Scott Bear, who's the General Manager of the Mercure Sydney, mainly Warringah, and also on the committee and heads up the Young Hotel Leaders Group in Australia, which I think is a great initiative to get young people interested in the industry. Jen Downs, Innovation Industry Specialist for Tafe, New South Wales, and Matthew Stevens, who's going to be a panel today from eHotelier, who's the President of eHotelier. Please come up on stage. Thank you. Thank you. Jen, Matthew, thank you. Thank you very much. HR was brought up quite a bit yesterday. Just around, what's the state of the HR industry in the hotel industry? I mean, is it sort of lost its lust? What's happening there?
Yeah, I can take it. Yeah. I mean, the industry's alive. It's not at all in a space that it was, I'd say, 2 years ago. Obviously, we've all spoken about it, the pandemic, everything that happened, the staff shortages, the restriction of being able to get staff in, and I guess the appeal of the industry, that it all shut down. But I think now, 2023, it's back up and alive, and I think it's really up to the people in the industry to make it, I guess, for better words, a sexy industry to be a part of, and that's getting the young people in. But, you know, from a HR side, the employability landscape is looking quite good at the moment.
Scott, tell me a little bit about what you're doing with the young hotel industry. What is it? YHL.
Yep.
Young Hotel Leaders. That's it. Sorry.
That's
Great initiative.
Yeah. So started with Amelia Perez, who works in development for Hilton. She kind of got a group of us together, people passionate within the industry, but from different segments of the industry. So from personal experience, being through an education platform at Blue Mountains Hotel School, it was a very operational.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about yours, because you look quite young to be a GM.
Yeah, I went to Blue Mountains Hotel School, and through that got, I guess, opportunities to grow and develop within the industry with mentors as well. Scott Boys, who's the area general manager for Pacific North for Accor now. And through the industry it was a lot about timing, but also who you connect yourself with and how much you really want to take in whilst you grow in the industry. So with what we do with YHL, I think it provides an opportunity to better understand the industry, the opportunities that are out there, and also connect a young network of hoteliers.
Yep.
Last night we were even at an event at a nice trivia in Surrey Hills, but it gives the opportunity to ask questions and see where you can head in the industry and understand that there's opportunities out there.
It's about HR, this panel, but how do people join? Just contact you? Because I think it's a great initiative, and I think there should be more like that to encourage. I mean, that's the future of our industry. The youth are the future of our industry, and I just don't think it's doing enough, and initiatives like that I think are fantastic. So, well done. So,
yeah, thank you, and thank you for your support.
And that's all right. Yeah, Jen, coming from the education side, the state of the HR industry, and is the industry doing enough to attract the best talent, even young talent?
I guess, so I work with Tafe New South Wales as the Industry Innovation Specialist, so I speak to industry all day long and have done for 5 years since our Minister of Skills requested all training providers to be firmly embedded with industry. So the intelligence I guess I've picked up is that there is a global labour shortage. Nobody's surprised, everybody knows that. I think one of the things that the industry needs to be aware of is the government has to prioritise their focus areas. And hospitality's up there, but it's not got its own task force like cyber, IT, aged care, childcare. So when we're looking at this global labour shortage, we need to be aware that it's not going away anytime soon.
Yep.
And individuals are doing some great work promoting the industry, but I think the industry needs to come together to do a lot more promotion to young people. We're already seeing differences in enrolment trends on those focus areas.
Yep.
They're pushing other areas out, and they're changing the whole landscape of what courses people are choosing to invest in.
Yeah. Matthew, you've got obviously the president of eHotelier, great publication, but you've got another side to your business that Gavin from Swiss Bell raved about, was a great plug, and I spoke to him, and your training program does work. Tell us a little bit about that and what you think the state of the industry is. Yeah.
Thanks, Adrian. Yeah, before we get on to, I guess, what we do in professional development, we did a survey last year of 800 industry leaders through our newsletter. And the survey obviously identified that there's a massive skills shortage. But the qualities that people are looking for now, it's gone back to, you know, the old, we used to say hire for attitude and we'll train the skills. It's gone back there. And people are now looking and saying that the responses are saying that we really need to, we're looking for people with great communication, great collaboration in terms of personal skills, but they're actually looking for more than that. They're looking for trust and respect. And for people who you can trust. And I think, Scott, you probably know better than me, but during the pandemic, we not only lost the line staff, but we also lost a lot of supervisors and middle management as well. And I think now hoteliers are looking to employ people that don't need to be micromanaged, that don't need to be supervised, because we just don't have that quality supervision anymore.
Yeah.
So you can pick up a copy of that report free online. The findings are really
interesting. Yeah. Any other trends there that you saw, or?
Yeah, I think, we talked a bit about sustainability yesterday, and we were going to get onto technology, but we talk about guests wanting sustainability in our hotels. Actually, employees want to see the company having a focus on sustainability and culture as well. Okay. So a while ago, or 10 years ago, people were looking to work for a brand. Then they moved into, well, I want to work for a leader. I want to work for a person who's got vision. Now they're looking at, and it's changed again, and they're looking for a culture that has sustainability at the core, but also a culture that's going to invest in them and have trust and respect in them as an employee. So I think employment now isn't about the employer deciding who's going to work for them. It's now a negotiation. Yeah, you need to attract great people, not just place an ad and expect 100 people to apply and then you choose who you go to employ.
Yeah.
So now really the game's changed, and employers need to put a lot more out there and show what's in it for the employee in order to attract great people.
What organisations should be doing things like that? Is the AOA? Is it all the other ones, or the government should be doing more? Because I can see it being in the industry on the marketing, digital, and tech side. All of my clients are struggling, to find staff. I mean, whose responsibility is it besides the employers? Is there associations, the government? Or?
Well, I would have said employers. It's our responsibility to treat our staff really well, to respect them and trust them, and then they will talk to their friends and their family about what a great industry it is to work in. And people like Scott and Scott Boys, is an absolute visionary of the industry. But mentoring is, just so important. Don't treat your staff like slaves or like servants. We need to treat them like professionals and really invest in them. Yep. And I think training comes into that in a big way too. If we can give them a vision for their future career and invest in their professional development, then they're going to see that they have a career in hospitality, not just a job.
Because, it's a reflective, even in my business, where I'm still a small business, the way the staff happiness and culture and the way I treat them goes on to mirrors straight onto the clients, is reflective of that, and it's very important. So you said, don't treat them like slaves. They're part of the family, really. So it's very important. Jane, you're about to say what's the...
Yeah, I've spent the last 3 days at the Australian Culinary Federation Chefs Conference, and we've had some of the best chefs, young chefs, from around Australia attending. And one of the questions we asked them on the Q&A is, how many of your employers actually ask you for your feedback? Not one of them were able to say yes, they do. So my passion is around developing young people. They're our future staff, they're our future customers, and they're our leaders. But when we talk about mentoring program, no one's talking about reverse mentoring. You've got to learn just as much from young people about the organisation, where they fit. Scott and I were talking about this in the hallway. Young people know what they want. They know their values. They know who they're going to align to. You as an employer need to encourage them into your organisation. They'll start talking about that. And we do a lot of promotion with associations, the ones associations you've mentioned, Department of Education. We've got a program called Launch Your Career, where we're in the schools talking, and we've been promoting hospitality for years now. So we're always focusing on those 5 influence of a young person. And that's what we need to do, and that's what the industry needs to do. Whenever I have a 20-year-old daughter who's already spent a quarter of her life working in hospitality. She started as a work experience student at SCORE. They continued to keep her on. She's been encouraged, she's been developed. It helps that she has a mother who talks so, I guess, passionately about the transferable skills that they learn. So this is what industry need to be talking about. You need to be talking to the school career counsellors, your principals, parents, about those transferable skills, because I also look after finance as well as hospitality and commercial cookery, and those large finance companies are coming to me all the time saying, we want hospitality students because they're so desirable because of those employability skills.
And Tafe's doing quite a bit to support the industry and promote it, or?
Oh, we were in the schools, we've been in there for years, so I would encourage all of you to get involved with the programs.
But there's Tafes all over Australia. There's Tafe Queensland, Victoria. Are they doing the same, or? Yes.
So each state...
I'm not being, I'm a Queenslander, sorry.
Yeah.
We're one state of origin, one.
So each state, I spoke to quite a few of them at the Chefs Conference, each state does something different, but they're all running programs. That's our bread and butter, is to look after, develop the next talent. If you live in New South Wales, you're lucky. You know, the amount of fee-free training that's available in New South Wales compared to the other states.
It's incredible.
It's very heartening. And some of the programs that we've been running, I've got Michelle here from the Centre of Excellence down in the South Coast. When fee-free training was announced, that Centre of Excellence for Hospitality straight away started talking to us about scholarships. So whilst the training's free, the value add that industry provide them is the mentoring, the reverse mentoring. They're giving them for meals where they're taking them out to meet all of their local suppliers so that those front of house staff can communicate to their guests. So it's a whole heap of programs that everybody from industry is working on to keep building
it.
Not just new entrants, but the existing workers they've got.
Yeah. Scott, where you work, you work for a global company. What are they doing to attract? What are the programs? Do you think they're doing enough or not? Or can they be doing it better? Or, I mean, I know, yes.
Yeah, I think the ESG kind of focus is a big thing for hotel companies at the moment. You know, we start it with how we attract owners to take us on as a management company. You know, I work currently for a hotel that's owned by Salter Brothers. They've obviously bought 11 Travelodge, just bought the Escarpment Group, Spices. They've made some big purchases, and they're not stopping. And you know, their biggest focus is ESG. You know, we've got 2 KPIs in our, you know, yearly plan that is solely focused around ESG. It's diversity, employment, it's a focus on environmental impact, and what we do with the community. So as a hotel company, we transfer, you know, what our focus is with owners and focus that onto employees. You know, as mentioned before, the employer has to do the work now. It's not the employee proving themselves as to why they should be in the business. It's the employer proving themselves why they should work for you. Yeah. So if we are pushing the ESG, we're showing, you know, our contribution to community and our environmental impact and what we can do in that diversity landscape. Yeah. It's a massive bonus. And then you look at the development piece, and Accor, obviously, such a global company. How do you nurture and keep talent within a business? You give them opportunities to grow. So over 400 hotels in the Pacific. How do we keep people growing? You start them, you know, I myself was given my first GM job at a Mercure, you know, a 3-star, 120-room hotel, but you can see the potential growth when we step into a Novotel, you step into an M Gallery up to Sofitels, and you get that exposure. It's the same thing with someone in the front line, you know, giving them that growth and opportunity, programs and those kind of things. So the whole shift of, you know, just creating revenue and driving performance is now kind of taken a back turn, because you know the future of the company really depends on the employee.
Yeah. I mean, every time I go to a hotel, I mean, it's great to see, you know, a lot of foreign accents and everything, but I don't see them anymore. I mean, why don't Australians want to work in the accommodation industry? And I'm an Aussie born and bred, Italian background, but why don't Australians want to work in the accommodation industry?
They do.
They do? Okay.
It's about 901,000 working in the industry last year alone. I think that I mean, food and accommodation is the fourth highest industry employing young people. So there's a lot of people that are interested in working in the industry. I guess it's Scott and Matthew can talk about how you retain them in the industry, how you give them that career pathway, excitement. to encourage them to stick
Because a lot of the
around.
migrants, I mean, they left. I mean, after COVID, they went back home. They didn't know, and I mean, a lot of really, really good staff left Australia, and that sort of added that. Nothing against that the Australians don't know how to deliver the service they do, but a lot have left, and that sort of left a huge gap in staffing, and a lot of them aren't coming back. But that also applies to the people who've been doing it for a long time. They just want to go back to a 9 to 5. So, Matthew.
I think a lot of them were students. I think we get a lot of people entering the industry who don't intend on having a career in hospitality, and Scott and I are probably exceptions to that, both having gone to hotel school. But in Europe, hospitality is a profession. If you're a waiter, you're a professional. You're treated as a professional by your peers and your colleagues and your guests. And when Europeans come to Australia, they excel in hospitality because they deliver a professional service. So even as a student, we used to target Europeans working in hotels in Australia because they provide such a professional service. We obviously lost them all, and now employing our own people locally, I think it goes back to even people who aren't intending or haven't gone to hotel school, haven't gone to Tafe. We still need to treat them professionally and try and cross them over. They might be studying something different at university, but they might end up in hospitality with those transferable skills.
Yeah.
So,
is the industry doing enough to attract the older generation back? Because we lost a lot. Are they doing enough to attract those people? Because, do you think they are, they're not, or the industry?
I think that there still needs
We're talking a lot about youth. Well, the youth is great, that's the future, but also I think the industry lost a lot of good staff who'd been in the industry 10, 20 years that had enough. And they went back to a 9 to 5 job, probably pretty boring. But no disrespect, but are they doing enough to get the older people to come back?
I think they can always do more. I think the couple of thousand extra that they're allowed to earn probably isn't enough. So I think that there's definitely more they can do. There's a lot of incentives out there that employers don't know. That's what I mean. Employers need to be informed that if a female hasn't worked for 6 months and wants to return to the workforce, she gets a $5,000 grant to be able to do that, to support her. Training's free. Create a program where they can come in and do micro-credentials to give them a little bit of a tester. Celebrate them. Let them know about the opportunities that are available to them as well. We know that workplaces have become friendly for them, so I think it's just about encourage them with other incentives.
Yeah, Scott?
Yeah, I think it's actually just changing the way that we work. Hospo is a career that has never been a work from home industry.
Yep.
And now that there's new technology coming on, we need to look at ways of being able to encourage that. 4-day work weeks, it's an industry where you can work longer hours during the week and have 3 days off. More versatility for the older workforce that have children, that have responsibilities outside of work. How can we be flexible in how we operate to provide those opportunities? So, at our property at the moment, out of the 5 upper management at my hotel, 3 of them have families. So we've now shifted them to 4-day work weeks, 3 days off, and given them that opportunity to not pick their hours, but almost actually pick their hours and designate 3 days during the week where they can be the primary caretaker of the children and work with their spouse to, have that flexibility while still generating the same income, same hours. So I think that's how the industry needs to react and appeal to the older generation to get them back in the workforce, is just working differently. Yeah,
okay. Matthew, do you want to add anything to that, or?
No, I think you pretty much summed it up, Scott. I think, talking about what we're offering the team member as well, flexibility is obviously one, and we're competing against other industries that are offering that flexibility. So, it's really difficult to retain people when they've got so many carrots from other industries and other jobs. But professional development is one way that, we can support employees, particularly new entrants into the industry. And our core product is professional development that aligns with the organisational chart of a hotel. So you can bring them in at a line staff or a supervisory level and then plan their career journey supported by professional development the whole way. So I think that's what we really need to rely on.
Yeah. And I mean, us at Fastrack Digital, we're not in sort of hospitality, but everyone that starts working for us, they get what they call a professional development plan. They get a budget that they can spend on their own training for the next 12 months. They already know where they're going over the next 6-12 months, what training they're going to do from day one. And we know, like Jeremy's, I'd be at the other side there, he's been with us 8-9 years. So you imagine sort of the value, and that's just a small, that can be applied to any business as well. But there's a lot of small operators here. What do you think the biggest mistakes accommodation providers are making in employing people and retaining them? It's a good question.
Repeat that question. It was
Sorry, what are the biggest mistakes that accommodation employers are making?
I don't think this is my question.
I can take it. It's all right.
But you're coming
I'm
from a training,
repeating
sorry, yeah.
feedback from other
It's a general question. So
Yeah, I think, to say it bluntly, the ego needs to be removed.
Yeah, absolutely.
As, I guess, the older generation, different generations are now involved in the same workplace, in the same building. So those in upper management that have always bit their time, they've done the years of 15 years of service, worked their way up the chain, and now they're sitting in that high position. I think the ego needs to be removed to not give the youth the opportunities to do the same at a quicker pace. It's our generation's probably issue that we need to be climbing and getting that recognition and reward and constantly getting a promotion and a new challenge and experience. But if you don't adapt to that mentality of providing those opportunities, but also the development piece, it's making sure they're ready for those opportunities. So it's not so much just giving them because you don't want to lose them. It's providing a pathway where they can learn the skills at a faster rate, be presented with those opportunities, and then keep them within the industry. It's having that pathway and the development plans in place.
yeah. What recruitment?
Stop bashing them.
Sorry?
Bashing young people.
Yeah.
That's the most common mistake. I will see them have a group of young people come into their organisation, and then they'll make these broad statements about young people have no work ethic, young people don't know how to communicate. If they have a bad experience with one organisation, they don't just leave that organisation, they leave that whole industry.
Yep.
So embrace them and be really mindful and respectful of how you communicate with your young people, because eventually it doesn't matter if they can't communicate. They're your customers and they're your staff. You're going to have to learn to communicate with them.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's
So it's also working on yourself as well to be a better manager, better employer as well. And I mean, and have a vision, you know, like at Fastrack, we have a North Star, and every day we sort of, that's our North Star, because if your team don't know where the bus is going, they're not going to go anywhere, you know what I mean? So, and I think a lot of people in the hospitality industry, they just turn up to serve people, clean rooms. What is the vision? Why are they cleaning rooms? Why are they serving staff? Why do they have to be, you know, that we really have to burn that into them. And I think a lot of hotels don't do that enough. I don't see it enough because I've trained hotels in terms of marketing. I just don't see it. So it's called the North Star. Where are we going? Why are you doing what you're doing every day as well?
And if you don't like young people, find a manager that does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great.
Because if they start singing your praises, everybody at their school or at their Tafe or at their university is going to talk about your organisation, and they're going to come and do that. And Scott, again, we were talking about some organisations being accused of headhunting.
Yeah.
It's not that they're headhunting, it's because they're aligning to people's values. Therefore, they're actually leaving their employers who they would normally be loyal to because of this new brand that's actually aligning to their values.
Yeah.
I think we also need to pay what they're worth.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's easy. I mean, I've managed hotels before, and independent hotels, and you know, it's easy to say, oh, we can't pay people anymore because that's going to reduce our profit. Don't look at the payroll cost. Look at the efficiency. So if you train people and you treat them as professionals, then their efficiency as a team will go up exponentially, and your payroll cost will freefall. I managed a resort in the UK, and we put a professional development program in place, and we dropped our payroll 10%. We took turnover from 70% down to 40%. Cost of turnover is enormous. So if you treat every single employee as a professional and as a colleague and someone who's respected and trusted, you'll be surprised at how they flourish and how they come out of their shell, and they actually give you back 10 times what it cost you, what you invest in them. Then you take that individual, all those individuals, and you put them together as a team, and your restaurant suddenly starts to flourish, and your guests are writing positive reviews, and you know your marketing starts to work for you. So, you know, just treat your staff the way you'd like to be treated, and give them the same respect as you expect or you hope that they will give you too.
Yep.
Can Can I just add there as well? So again, the industry intelligence that I'm gathering all the time, labour shortage is one of them, but mental health is really big at the moment as well. There's a lot of programs out there to support, not just young people, but men, women of all different ages. So I think that's another thing that young people are aligning themselves to. Do you have a program to support me for mental health, sustainability, succession planning?
Yep.
So I guess today one of the takeaways would be, are young people on your attraction, retention and development strategies? And if they're not, seek out where you can find them.
Yeah.
We've got 4,400 people who enrol in the Certificate 3 in commercial cookery every year. Only 21% of them are apprentices. So you've got a cohort of people they're looking to do work placement. Once you get them in, generally they're going to stick around if you treat them well. We've also got 17,000 students every year who undertake either hospitality or commercial kitchen operations in high school as part of their HSC. Where do those kids go? If we don't pick them up, they're going to go to another industry. We know they're highly sought after. So if you can seek out where these kids or these young people are and then partner, you've got 15 government agencies who will support you to connect you with young people. So that's what I would be looking at in your retention strategy.
Yep. We haven't got much time left. Any questions from the audience? Anything? No? No? Sorry. Oh, yes. Hang on, you know what, I'm going to come down there. Hang on. No, you're all right. That's okay. That's all right. Thank you.
Sorry, I own a little property in the Riverina, 30 rooms. We have low socioeconomic regions all around us. Our young pool of employees is 0. So they have to be over 18 to serve in a bar. And then they leave town as fast as they can. So what's your thoughts on how you can attract or retain older employees?
So there's a lot of people doing programs already. Sorry, I didn't catch what area you were in, but...
Riverina.
Yeah, excellent. I'll be down there next week. So remember, Tafe New South Wales, and not just Tafe New South Wales, there's probably other training providers here as well. Tafe New South Wales, all of their programs are fee-free, so it's not an age category. Anyone can do that. We've got 80-year-olds in there still learning. So you can design and develop a program around that. There's also smaller skill sets, so we will go to training services. So if you provide feedback to me in that community, I would then work with the whole of the other community organisations, so Training Services New South Wales. We would look at developing a funded program if we can fund it, and then we would help you to attract people, whatever demographic you're looking for, into that program to support them. So it's not necessarily age. My passion's young people, but it doesn't mean that we don't help everyone else. And I know the South Coast Centre of Excellence is actually running a program down in Bega at the moment, which is just for mature age workers as well.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I think on your point with how do you attract the older age workers, I think it's talking to them and finding out what they're looking for within the roles. I think what we've found when we're employing and we're putting people into boxes as a bartender, as a GSA, as a housekeeper, as whatnot, it's a very restrictive box. You've got to do this per day, this is your schedule, this is your checklist, just do it. So it's how can an employer be creative and innovative in these roles and create new job titles, turn around and not have someone just being a front desk agent 8 hours of their shift, turning around and saying, you'll cover the food and beverage, or you'll go out into the reservation side and sit out back. And it's about the flexibility of work. It's not so much just hiring because that's always been the way. It's looking forward to how can we refit the mould of what has been created before us.
And also understanding what skills do they need an upgrade in? What do they need to upskill in?
Yep.
Yeah, we support some regional properties, the Remington hotels out in Orange and Muswellbrook in particular, and they've just done exactly what you said. You don't have receptionists and food and beverage and housekeeping attendants anymore. You have colleagues, and they train them, cross-train them in all areas, and that makes them a lot more flexible, but also gives them the flexibility to bid for shifts. So you don't have structured 9 to 5 or 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. It's now all structured around the demands of the business. And they found that the employees love it because they can now work the hours that suit them. But then you have to provide the training across all 3 areas.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from the audience? No? Is Melissa here? She, no? Yeah, you're here. We might have to mic you up soon. We're ahead of time. Any other questions at all? Okay, to the panel, the top tip for attracting, retaining staff. Top tip. 1 or 2.
I'll go first.
You want to go first, yep.
Well, I think you've heard enough from me about professional development, but yeah, that's where I firmly believe, and we believe that the future of retention in the industry is it's about training them, developing them, recognising them with certifications and supporting continuous professional development. So once you get someone into the industry or into a role, then support them. Don't just employ them and leave them be. Put a program together, mentor them, and our certification pathways and our frameworks support them all the way through to general manager and beyond. So I think that's key.
Yep. Jen?
I'm going to say, join me on the journey of Launch Your Career. So the Department of Education and Tafe New South Wales are going to be we've been doing this for 3 years already, but we're going to be in the schools providing career information from kids starting in 5th grade. We'll get some chefs in there taking some fruit and food, and then every year, year 7, all the way through to year 12 and beyond, we're going to be providing them with immersive activities. Now, hospitality and cookery is part of the pilot, so we've got about 12 months ahead of every other industry targeting. So I need industry to be involved in that. I need somebody at Bega, Riverina, Sydney, Burke, Dubbo to come into the schools with me.
Yeah. Scott?
Yeah, I think it's 2 ways. It's on the point of development, it's creating an IVP, the individual value proposition, and really tailoring it to each employee, understanding what they want to get out of the industry, where they want to go, and then creating that pathway. And the second is up to every employer, and it's making the industry sexy again. Talking about international travel, talking about flexibility of work, talking about all the opportunities that, we were talking before. As a lawyer in finance, you've got to study different laws and go through different courses to travel overseas and work in New York. And hospitality is a universal business, so it allows you to have a work-life balance and actually have the work-life balance, not just have it as a signature, as an employee slogan. It's, you can go over to London, you can work in Singapore, you can go in Abu Dhabi, and all doing the same thing without having to get extra skills or, train up on those kind of side. I think it's universal. So, and we need to be the ones that promote that.
Yeah, and join young hotel leaders.
Yeah, exactly right.
Of course, yeah, okay, all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please thank my panel. That was really great, thank you. Thank you.